The main thrust of the report resulted in few surprises. Before embarking on the project, the officers say they knew that women, Aborigines and foreign-born people would be the most disadvantaged groups, but there were a few unusual trends in the Muswellbrook, Singleton and Scone areas. According to the report, many unemployed women in the Upper Hunter have a poor concept of their abilities and achievable goals. Many feel that their community is a man's town, and so few strive for non-traditional occupations. But the good news is that women make up almost 50% of all CES registrations, which is 16% higher than the state average. Acting Coordinator at the Equal Opportunity Training Program at Hunter TAFE, Dave Brown, says there are many ways to ease the problems.
In our report, basically we're hoping that TAFE may be able to organise some special courses. I say special, they're actually mainstream courses, but courses that disadvantaged people will be able to come into. And we're also hoping that we'll be able to get up there again the people who did the consultations and run a series of programs for disadvantaged people in the community. So it's of them.
But Dave says the hardest job will be to change attitudes.
Yes, it's long-term stuff that we're looking at. Attitudes are very hard to change. You won't change them overnight. But there are some interesting things already happening. The number of Aboriginal people registered with the CES has skyrocketed since we went up there. Almost 100% increase in those registrations. So there's already some outcome that's been positive.
Right, that's fine. Thanks, Dave.
Staff and students watched this morning as College Chairman Walter Scragg cut the ribbon to officially open the new building. The 600 students will now be able to play squash in one of the 6 modern courts, work out in the weights room or practice routines in the gymnasium. The idea was first conceived by students who were collecting money to build one squash court. The college decided they had a good cause and made available the money needed for a full complex. For the Seventh-day Adventists, activities of this kind are more than simply leisure occupations.
According to our philosophy and lifestyle, fitness and health is a very key element to a clear mind and good academics.
Right, so the two go hand in hand?
We think they do, we believe they do.
With the completion of one building, the start of another. 7 officials with 7 shovels lined up to break the ground at the commencement of work on a $3.5 million girls' dormitory. The 5-floor structure will house 180 girls in separate rooms and will be completed sometime next year.
The Tocal Small Farm Field Days have grown to become a significant event on the rural calendar, reflecting an important trend in the Hunter Valley and on the Central Coast, the move towards small acreage farming. While it's not a new trend, more and more people are becoming involved. Economic factors have also played a part in the field days development. While traditional rural money earners like wheat are enjoying a less than easy time on world markets, more and more farmers are diversifying to, in some cases, more profitable farming ventures. These days offer a variety of exhibitors a chance to display their wares and gauge how their products can best suit the small landholder. The field day's location is also unique, in the grounds of the C.B. Alexander Agricultural College at Petersen, close to the farming community and to Maitland and Newcastle, offering the opportunity to non-farmers to take part and possibly become involved, even on a small scale, in an agricultural venture. Perhaps more importantly, the field days offer the Department of Agriculture and other government departments and authorities a chance to help the small landholder better utilise his or her property and assist with any problems the farmer might encounter.
It's the only event of its type in the Hunter, and there's been such a proliferation of small hobby farms, new farmers in the Hunter, Central Coast, Sydney areas, that really there's no other facility that offers this educational opportunity.
So it plays a very important role too for small farmers and their holdings?
Yes, well, we run lectures and demonstrations for the whole 3 days. As well as that, there's the big commercial component and the cottage crafts. So really there's something here for everybody, not just people interested in agriculture, but the community generally can have a great day out here.
So a very important part of the rural community in the Hunter?
Oh, well, I think so. I mean, we get commercial farmers here too, not just the small new or hobby farmers, because there's such a range of commercial opportunities here to purchase equipment and look at new equipment, and that really attracts those sort of operators too.
Tocal is all about information, and each year exhibitors take the opportunity to show their latest. Beekeeping is a growing industry, with many farmers now producing their own honey. As well, landholders realise how important bees are in pollinating crops. There's also a growing queen bee export market.
If people want to get involved with it, what do they have to do to get started?
Well, first of all, they've got to make sure they're not allergic to bees. That's one of the main things. Then start off very small and work up from there. And if they can, get in with a commercial beekeeper and learn the trade that way.
And the equipment that they use, of course, very specialised?
Yeah, up to a point it is. We're probably the biggest equipment producer in the Southern Hemisphere from the beekeeping point of view, and we handle almost anything that the beekeeper wants.
Now you mentioned also export of queen bees. That's taking off too?
Just starting to move, mainly to Canada and America. That's the big move on at the moment.
Innovation is as much a part of farming as the land itself, and innovation is the central theme of the Tocal Small Farm Field Days. Products like the now famous barbed wire dispenser, invented by Stanford's Petersen, reflect that innovation. This feed trough, designed by Denman farmer Gil Wedmore and his partner, is a simple idea that now becoming a familiar sight in sale yards throughout the state and soon in Victoria.
We decided that there was a need for a trough that was virtually indestructible, helped alleviate bruising, but serviced the industry relatively quickly. As far as installation is concerned, it takes a man about 15 to 20 minutes to install one, and they're ideal. We've sold approximately 1,700 into the cattle yards in New South Wales. We've now penetrated the horse industry. We have them in Blandford Park and a couple of the other studs up in Scone area installing them. The industry in Victoria, we look like penetrating that market, and hopefully we should have sales of up to 1,000 there within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And the idea of it was just something that would help the industry get over the problem of the curfew. With the installation of other types of trough was taking much longer, and this was very quick and easy.
The innovation continues in industry exhibits. New South Wales Deer Association and Miracles and Meats from Musselburgh combine to show the progress being made in expanding industry. Managing Director of Miracles, Michael Scarf, says the company is
Mark,
now
we've had a tremendous amount of success. We're finding that the venison is becoming more popular on the Australian market, and the consumers are finding it far more palatable because they haven't had the chance of trying it before.
And there's also an export market there now too.
Yes, the export demand is growing. Unfortunately, we haven't got the great number of stocks in Australia yet to make that such a viable thing. But the byproducts, such as the antlers and the other byproducts, are finding a tremendous market in the Asian regions.
Now, also, is it something that small landholders can get involved with?
Yes, it is. Deer are a wonderful animal from consumer point of view and also from consumption. Their conversion rates are much greater than the deer and sheep, and it gives the small landholder a chance to getting into an industry that's such a vital one and with tremendous prosperity today compared to the other livestock industries.
The now familiar Angora and dairy goats take a prominent role in the field days. More farmers are capitalising on a growing Angora market, as well as the dairy and goat meat markets. Goats have been easily adapted to the small farm. They've been proved to control noxious weeds. It's easy to see they make great attractions for the children. Goat meat is slowly becoming recognised by the consumer. It's similar in some ways to lamb, and goat meat producers are targeting that market. As well, Angora has a ready market, with it being a favoured material to be spun and used for garments. Electric fencing is also becoming more and more accepted on Australian farms, as landholders realise its value. And the field days provide the opportunity to show the latest technology.
George, some of the advantages of electric fencing.
One of the main advantages, of course, is the price difference. Say for a 5-wire boundary fence, there's a saving there between $1,200 and $1,600 a kilometre as against conventional fencing. But not only is it far cheaper, but it's going to last an awful lot longer, and you've got far superior animal control. One of the main reasons being is because the power runs on the outside of the wire, and animals just learn to stay completely away off the fence.
You find it, though, that some farmers may be a little bit reluctant to get involved with it, perhaps because it's new technology or the cost of it, or what?
Yes, you could say it's certainly completely new technology, but once it's explained and shown the reasons why it works, it's very easily accepted. There is a massive change. It's like comparing a push bike to a Rolls Royce. But the main secret of the spider system is it's stainless steel self-locking clip, and it's quick to attach, quick to erect. It's the bar job of 2 people can't erect 2 kilometres of 5-wire in a day. Well, you certainly can't do that in conventional fencing.
And of course a broad, a wide variety of uses, and can pen all sorts of different animals.
Yes, one of our biggest markets at the moment is feral animal control, especially with dingoes, feral goats. Feral goats is probably the most intelligent animal that we know of, and that would consist of 6 wires. Roos would probably consist of 6 to 7 wires, dingoes 7 to 9 wires. Sheep and cattle, well, they're very easy controlled. We do an awful lot of strip grazing with sheep now, consisting of only 2 wires about knee high, and cattle ranges from 1 wire to 3 wires maximum. But internal fencing, you generally go to 4 wires for both sheep and cattle. That's permanent fencing, and boundary permanent fencing, of course, more or less 5 wires.
The innovation continues with the now well-established Farm Inventor Award. Each year the award attracts a high standard of entry, reflecting the farmer's ability to adapt and solve a problem as much as through necessity as anything else. Like Cole Passfield from Tocal, his award-winning sawhorse, and Alan Tickle from Dungog, his paddock press, valuable for splitting logs and straightening steel. Cottage crafts also play an important part in the field days. A lot of small landholders have realised the value of selling different types of craft work, such as spun mohair, tapestries and needlework. Once considered a pursuit of the alternative lifestylers, mud brick house construction is becoming a well-established form of building. With it comes a glimpse of roofing from the past, how to cut and shape shingles. For many people, owning and running a small farm is not just a commercial concern, but a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle even people in the city can share. The Hunter Organic Growers Association concentrate on producing vegetables and flowers organically.
From the greengrocers. I didn't put a bit of cardboard on them, but we don't have any residue of the chemical fertilisers in the soil. We maintain the chemical fertilisers and also the chemical sprays kill the earthworms. The earthworms are great for the soil. They nourish the soil, work the soil, and they're just the right thing for building up soil fertility.
So that another advantage would be that city people, say living in flats or small houses with small backyards, can get involved with this sort of growing.
Certainly. There's and they only can grow a small amount of vegetables or flowers at one time, and they're light to lift if they have to lift them. If they've got bad backs, they can have it up on a stand. They don't have to bend down. And mainly small spaces, and people that just don't want to have to crippled people, and people that only just want to do a little bit of gardening.
As well as the more familiar crafts on display, a now less well-known trade has been featured at the field days: whip making. Jimmy Hill from McMaster's Beach on the Central Coast took over the family business from his father, and he started it back in 1925. The field days allow the Department of Agriculture and other government authorities to help the farmer produce the best from the land. Demonstrations, seminars and displays give landholders an opportunity to discuss any aspect of their ventures with trained professionals. And an extensive library of reference material is also available on a wide range of farming subjects. Tocal Small Farm Field Days are set to become a vital part of farmer education and will help the rural community and their chances of future growth.
A hassle-free way of straightening expenses.
John Hatton's allegations caused a bombshell in Parliament. He claimed that on at least
marijuana
3
crops worth
occasions
more than
between
$10 million
1978
were harvested
and
and
1983,
marketed with full
marijuana
police
crops
knowledge.
worth more than
In the
$10 million
Bungendore area
were
east of
harvested
Canberra,
and marketed
at least
from the
$6
Bungendore
million
region
worth of
with full
marijuana
police
was
knowledge.
somehow
Mr.
harvested
Hatton
and
claims
marketed,
the operation
even though a
linked
drug
senior
squad
police
was
with mafia
detailed to
figures
keep
from
close
Griffith and illegal
surveillance.
gambling
Mr.
activities
Hatton
from
demanded to
federal
know
levels,
why
but
no
was
arrests had
On the
been
second
made.
occasion, yet some of the officers involved in the entire operation have been promoted. There has been no investigation and no action taken.
Mr. Hatton named 7
In Parliament,
police allegedly
Mr. Hatton
involved,
named 7 senior
including
police
former
officers in
Commissioner
connection with his
Seth Abbott
allegations.
and the man who
One
now
of them,
heads the
Bill
Force's
Cullen,
Internal
holds a
Affairs
senior
Unit,
rank
Bob
in the
Shepherd.
Newcastle Police District. He's on sick leave at the moment, suffering a kidney complaint, and is being treated at St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney. Another officer mentioned lives in this quiet street in Bellbird, outside Cessnock. Andy Gallagher retired 3 years ago, but was the Executive Chief Superintendent for Country Districts at the time of the allegations. He came out guns blazing today, demanding that justice be done and that his name be cleared.
Mr. Hatton has got no information that involves me, and I have got no doubts on that score, and I would challenge him to come out and verify what he has said in Parliament.
As far as you're concerned, your slate is clean?
It's clean. And I've got every faith in what I have done within my service.
What sort of reaction does a small community have to you when these allegations are published?
Well, they're going to think I'm a crook. I think Mr. Hatton is trying to obtain political gain, and he's prepared to sacrifice 6 or 7 police officers to do so.
And you're not prepared to see that happen?
I'm not prepared to see it happen. I want justice for me, and if the other police are in the same situation as me, I'd like to see them get justice.
Good. Thanks very much. Good to go.
Since the closure of the State Dockyard, Varley's has had the short-term lease on this ship repair facility. By showing those people who matter just how well the company is managing it, Varley is making it clear it wants the long-term lease also. Senior Navy personnel, politicians and trade union reps yesterday inspected the floating dock and Varley's trade record of management. The Navy frigate HMAS Torres is now in the dock sporting a yellow undercoat. This contract and several others the company has secured will keep the facility booked until the middle of July. Varley's lease, however, expires in 8 days' time. It will then be renewed on a monthly basis. The company believes its proven ability to secure work strengthens its case for the long-term lease. It's also convinced Newcastle can excel in ship repair work.
We have the skill here in Newcastle. I think the important thing is not just a labour pool to operate the dock in Newcastle, but all the design, naval architectural skills, marine engineering skills have got to be maintained in Newcastle. And I think that's a very important aspect of us having the dock in Newcastle.
Sir Joe couldn't have chosen a finer day to visit Newcastle. Arriving under sunny skies at Williamtown, he made his way straight to a news conference at the Park Royal, where he told an army of media he wasn't in Newcastle to canvass votes.
I'm not interested so much in votes. I'm not going around counting how many votes. I've never even really thought a great deal about it. All I'm trying to give a message and hope, an opportunity, an incentive to people, wherever they might be, by putting candidates up.
The
While the Queensland Premier was meeting reporters, trade unionists were holding their own meeting at the Newcastle Workers Club. Upwards of 1,000 attended, including 300 waterside workers who called a strike from 10 till 2 today to protest Sir Joe's visit. Because the meeting was held on licensed premises, licensing police forced all those attending to sign the club's register. After the short delay, the unionists then marched on Civic Park, improvising their own stage directly opposite the Joe for Australia setup.
He should start in Queensland where he originally come from. We want democracy here, not a dictatorship.
We're not here to demonstrate or cause any violence. They're the ones that are going to start anything. They're the ones that brought in the supporters from up the country to start the fights.
If we were in Queensland now, we'd be arrested for just doing this, and we're not doing any harm, are we?
From there, Janelle Provost reports.
Very fresh. What is this? Stage is blind to see just what it lies.
South, who maintain their 2-point lead on the ladder, have come back from the almost dead in the last 2 seasons. They played in last year's grand final and are heading perhaps for a minor title this time. It's just 4 years ago that a vote to close down the football club was taken, and the famous Red Lions Red and Whites looked set to pass into history. Now they and Lakes, the premiers, are the strongest clubs in it. And the Lions have the honour, maybe, of supplying the Newcastle Knights' first sign-on for 1988. At least 3 or 4 of their number can expect offers, including young fullback Ashley Gordon, who the late Brian Carson described as potentially the best he'd seen in this area since Les Johns, and tearaway winger Paul Waite, who has well over 100 points in just 7 games this year. Both have played rep football, Waite as late as yesterday, in the Sydney country matches. Hooker Richards Jones is another. Only time will tell.